to the Her Hoop Stats podcast. I am Christy Winters Scott, joined this time, a little international flavor with Chelsea Leite. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Going great. Going great. I know that it has been a very busy weekend in the WNBA and so many storylines to touch on. And I just want to kind of get the bad news out first, right?
Yeah.
With all of the injuries that have happened and occurred, starting with the Valkyries, with Kayla Thornton having the knee surgery that's going to keep her out for the remainder of the season after being named an all-star for the first time. And then, we saw Stewie have a kind of a concerning injury. We're not going to be speculating or speculative about the end result of that, but she did fly with the team. So I don't know what is going on right now with all these injuries, but there are a lot of key names on teams that are either out now and trying to get back or have been out for a while, which is impacting the win-loss column for their respective teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's been intense, and I think there's definitely a few reasons that we could chalk that up to. I mean, everybody's talking about more games in the same amount of time this season. There's 44 games now. Back-to-backs have been more frequent this season. There wasn't a month-long Olympic break like there was last season, and so, players are playing, there was Unrivaled that happened fairly close to the season on Athletes Unlimited, and not saying that these players haven't played in the off-season because that's been a trend forever, but yeah, I think it's just all of these different things coming together to make it harder on their bodies. And unfortunately, with so many games, you kind of see the impact on that a little bit more. And we're just heading into a very important stretch now. So every injury just kind of feels a little bit more, the stakes are higher, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially with New York. I mean, they just got Jonquel Jones back after being an injury. And then Stewie goes out. So it's like they can't be whole, it feels like. But still doing a very good job in the win column in different ways. I mean, Sabrina has been on a heater, as we have seen as of late, the last several games, marking over 25 and 30 points.
Yeah.
How are they going to manage? I don't know how long Stewie's going to be out with the lower leg injury, is how it has been stated by the Liberty's PR. But what is that going to look like specifically for the Liberty?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that people say about the Liberty is that they look like such a well-oiled machine when all 5 of their starters are out and just contributing so well. And Stewie's such a big part of that. I mean, it might not look like that sometimes on the stat sheet, but when you think about how her fingerprints are on every single part of the game, whether it's defense, playmaking, shooting, every single, you could go down the list, and she impacts that team from a leadership standpoint so much. So taking that out, and of course they have great leaders on the team regardless. They're a very veteran, experienced team, but I mean, Stewie's just a winner. Like, she's just won at every single level. And so taking that out off the court and, having that voice be on the bench instead definitely hurts. And I mean, Stewie, she might have a down game one time, but the next game she could drop 40 on you, and you never really know, when she can just turn it on like that. So you miss that.
Right. No doubt about it. And, for those who don't know where you are, if you can hear the accent, very similar to my colleague, Megan McPeak, saying out, and it keeps reminding me. Tell everybody where you are right now, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in Toronto, of course, and, loving seeing the tempo stuff start to come, and loving, thinking about who could be on our team next year. And of course, Megan, I mean, I love Megan so much, and she's fantastic. And so, yeah, we chat about, what could happen in Toronto and what's happening right now in the W. So, yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I never think I have an accent. Like, people keep telling me I have an accent. I don't think I do, but
it's a little one there. Here, a little.
Yeah. Yeah, you can hear it because you're with it. You listen to Megan talk, so I'm gonna. Yeah,
I love it. But the tempo coming in. I know you have some.
Yeah, I got my Canadian flags for whenever we mention Canada, because I'm a homer. First a homer, and of course, now I have my whole background going, so it's just like an ongoing thing.
I love it. Hey, you're already set up. Like a lot of season ticket holders have already purchase those tickets too in
Yep.
Toronto tempo. And we've seen success in some preseason games the last couple of seasons where over 20,000 people have been present for some preseason action there. So can't wait for that. But going back to what we started discussing about the injuries. Now, you look at the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, right? Both of those teams have been pillaged with injuries, starting in Indiana, with Caitlin Clark being in and out of the lineup there because of health reasons and the soft tissue injuries that she has incurred this season. What are you thinking about what the Fever can not necessarily medically do about that, but collectively as a unified team without her services on the floor? What do the Fever need to do to kind of keep everything in motion going forward?
I mean, I think they've been doing this all season, given that she's been in and out. But I think, what Steph White has been doing a really good job of is trying to kind of distribute the things that Caitlin brings when she's on the court to everybody else. And so you have, they built their team so that they have shooters. They have Sophie Cunningham, they have Lexi Hull, they have Kelsey Mitchell, obviously, who's always going to impact. And so I think they've been trying to just kind of take what Caitlin brings to the court and distribute it. I mean, nobody can really fill her shoes, obviously, when it comes to the impact that she has on the court, but being able to try and distribute the shooting, the passing ability, the playmaking, the assisting, and trying to collectively as a team fill the gap that she leaves on the court. I mean, Ari McDonald was a huge pickup for them earlier in the season. And so I think she's done a really great job of filling that void when it comes to having like a true point guard and the way that Caitlin Clark is so good at assisting. And then, I mean, they've all just kind of stepped it up. Natasha Howard is having a great season. Kelsey Mitchell was an all-star. Aaliyah Boston is always going to impact the court as well. And so I think it's not one player that can come up and fill the void for Indiana. I think all of them have to collectively do it. And being able to do so when she is able to slide in and out of the lineup, it feels seamless. They're not trying to do anything different when she's on or off the court. They're just trying to make up for the fact that she has to miss a few more games than usual this season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think that's going to be very intriguing moving forward. BMAC, our great consummate producer, said that Dantas has been out, the ankle injury, and like you said, Ari McDonald. I mean, what an impact she has been, and she has just stayed ready.
Yes.
The fact that she, signs these emergency contracts, and then goes away for a minute, comes back, and is still blistering the nets, coming up clutch in moments in games. So I just think that you're right. They're going to have to just stick with things and continue to row the boat, right, and keep forward. But same thing for Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Cardozo was out, with international responsibilities. She came back, played a little bit, and then now Angel Reese is out with the back injury. But they're down to what, 7 or 8 healthy players at the present moment, and they're about to come to DC. So, what do you see for the skyscrapers not being on the floor at the same time, and the inconsistency of that with both the international responsibilities and now the injury to Reese?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Camila Cardoso going and playing for Brazil was really impactful. She did such a great job. I mean, I watched them beat Canada very bad, and so but if they were playing through Cardoso, and it was great to see her be able to impact a team like that and get that those reps that she might not get in Chicago, just because their system is a little bit different. And so, in order to diversify her game and make sure that she's ready for whether that's international play with the World Cup next year or playing in the W. Like it's always nice to get that experience for any player. But then when you come back to Chicago, you want that chemistry with her and Angel to build up. You want that you want them to continue building what they have going in terms of those two being the centerpiece of the team, and everybody else kind of building around that. And it's hard when they haven't really had consistency throughout the entire season. People have been in and out. Courtney Vandersloot obviously got hurt very early in the season. And so it's just like when I look at Chicago, I just, I'm just a little confused about what the future holds, but also like what they are going to do in the present to try and put something together this season. I don't know if it's, if that time has passed yet, or if, it's still just building blocks, or if you just kind of look ahead now and say, okay, what can we take from this season and what's our plan going forward? And obviously it's hard in the current landscape of the WNBA because you don't know who's going to be available, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's going to be so much different, but yeah, I think just like continuing to develop both Camilla and Angel as a pair, but also individually is so important. And so whether either of them, whether they're in and out, I think just focusing on whichever one is in at the current moment and trying to put everything on, running plays through them and developing them and seeing how they can impact games, I think is probably maybe the most important thing that this guy can be doing.
Yeah, no question. And, with what you said, I mean, the interior presence and the glass work with those two is just insanely great.
Hmm.
Looking at the perimeter and what that has looked like for Chicago, I know, with Ariel Atkins playing in DC for years, right? I understand her skill set and all of that, but what do you feel the complement of the perimeter game around the two skyscrapers has been, and what would you like for that to look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's been hard the past. I mean, Ariel Atkins has been injured recently as too, so it's hard to fully look at that lineup in recent games. But yeah, I think the idea, like when you look at their roster construction, you can see what the idea was. I mean, you have these two really young, talented post players, and then you surround them with these veteran shooters and point guards and playmakers that are able to not only get the ball to them but also make plays when they're being stopped by defenses, right?
Right.
And so you have Beck Allen, you have Kia Nurse, Ariel Atkins, these players that can pass and shoot and defend as well. But I think the issue is that again, like there hasn't been much consistency from Chicago, and so it's hard for them to find grooves. And yeah, it just hasn't panned out the way that it looked like it was going to. But I will say when I've watched Chicago and they've been on good runs, you can see what the idea was behind all of it. So it's not that the construction of it was bad. It's just the fact that there's so many other factors that go into a basketball season that unfortunately sometimes the luck isn't on your side, and games don't end up being won. But it's hard with injury, and losing someone like Courtney Vandersloot is going to impact the team on every single level. So it's just hard.
Yeah, no question about it. And I hated that Sloot went out with that injury, going to what we were saying about
Yeah.
missing pieces to the puzzles for many teams because of the injury bug. And flipping back a couple of pages to New York, we didn't really
Mhm.
move all the way into, obviously with Stewie being injured currently, Emma
Yeah,
Meese was added to the roster there. Uh,
sure.
how do you feel she can go ahead and not necessarily motivate, but how can she fit in midstream with this high powered Liberty offense?
Yeah, I think it's all about depth for these high, 1, 2, 3 teams. You think about the matchup between New York and Minnesota, which is looking like at the moment, like if the season ended today, would be the finals presumptive matchup. And so you just want depth because by the time you get into September, October, everybody's tired, injuries might be coming up. And so New York being able to bolster their front court, especially when you think about on the other side, you have the Minnesota Lynx and Nafisa Collier is their best player, and they're going to be trying to play through her as much as possible. You need that size and that depth at that position, and so grabbing Emma Meesman, they might not insert her into the starting lineup unless somebody's injured, but the fact that you have her available on the bench, or you have one of those mix of players available on the bench to come out and just provide those minutes is going to be so crucial for them in the postseason. And so it was really, I think the move just boiled down to that. I mean, you're not going to say no to Emma Meesseman if she wants to come to your team, but
Right.
it,
Come on. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, for sure. And, playoff Emma, and the
You
2019
know it.
game, man, she was like off the chain. She was wonderful to watch over her career here in DC. But, to add her at this part of her career, right? She's in her prime. She understands the WNBA. She understands, how she can fit in to this team. So I'm just anxiously awaiting. I'm very intrigued to see what that will look like moving forward for New York, especially now in the absence of Stewie for we don't know how long. So I think that's going to be really special to keep an eye on for sure with the Libs and Lady Liberty up there.
Yeah.
So let's flip it a little bit now to the Phoenix Mercury, right?
Yeah.
And what they have looked like with the addition of Duana Bonner by way of the Indiana Fever, talking
Mhm.
about midstream moves, right? With
Yep.
going to New York, but then Bonner going back to Phoenix where it all started for her. What have you seen from Phoenix in terms of the schematics and how she has fit into what they like to do there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, she has the chemistry that you need along with Alyssa Thomas. They not played together for a long time, but obviously there's off-court chemistry as well. But I think the one thing that stands out to me in terms of Phoenix this year has just been like how well they were able to put together this team despite not having any draft picks, despite losing all that they lost in free agency with Diana Taurasi retiring, with BG deciding to move on, and the fact that you were just so easily able to grab players like Alyssa Thomas, like Satu Sabali, Kalia Copper was there already, but then also their depth of these rookies, you
Right,
call them, but they're so experienced. And so, I mean, this team just came as a shock to me because a lot of people didn't, there's no name recognition with some of these players, but
right,
then you look at how they play, they're so powerful. No matter which one of their big three is out, they're able to, still win games. They were able to, get to second in the league despite the fact that, the big three didn't play together until as recently as last week. So,
right.
like, you think about that, and then you just add Dewana Bonner in there, who not only brings the experience that this team kind of needs, when you get past the few, starters in terms of WNBA and like playoff experience, but she's also just tried and true, just good at what she does. And so it's hard to deny that talent. And then you also have the personal factor of her coming back and playing in front of a fan base that really loves her. And, she's won a championship before. And so I think it's like the perfect mix for her of like, it fit on court just because of everything that, Phoenix has been trying to do and the chemistry that she has with Alyssa Thomas. And then it just fits like when you think about all of the off court factors of, fan base and motivation and, keeping that hype when your franchise decades long player retires, I think has just been so great. Like the seamlessness of the post Tarasi era has just been really like evident in my eyes. So it's really exciting to see what they're doing over there.
Yeah, I agree. I just think the way that Alyssa Thomas has put the team on her proverbial shoulders
Literally.
with no labor,
No shoulders. Yeah.
like missing parts there, but she's still, able to be a pro's pro when it
Yeah.
comes not only to the statistics, which have been definitely impressive and gaudy, and
MVP candidate
MVP candidate again, right?
again.
Again. And I definitely think that that's the case again this season for her. But when you're looking at what Alyssa Thomas has been able to do, and not just offensively, her shot making ability, her strength and power and prowess as an offensive threat
Yeah.
is extended to being able to be the leader and assist in the WNBA with just
Mhm.
assists per game. Flirted with another triple double here in DC recently. I just think with what she has been able to do, sometimes you get lost in the consistency of excellence, and I
Yeah.
like to say that. But Nate Tippett said, maybe she needs to be talked about more. So let's talk about her a little more right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I just looked up her stats on her hoop stats, of course, and comparing her entire career. I mean, other than the 2021 season where she only played 2 games, she's averaging career high in points this season in, you know, plus decade after start. Like she's a veteran. She's been in this league since 2014 and now at, not to say she's old or anything. She's not old when it comes to the grand scheme of things, but in like professional sports talk, you talk about her as a little bit of an older player, career high in this season. So I mean, she's shooting when you career high field goal percentage, career high 3-point percentage, and I mean, I'm just kind of grazing her stat sheet right now and like grazing at the numbers. So I mean, it's not that in depth, but like the fact that she's doing all of this consistently night after night in a new system with new coaches, new environment, new teammates. A lot of them don't have WNBA experience. She's played in the league for over a decade now, doesn't have any shoulders. And, like, it's wild, like, the fact she's just the excellence there is hard, and like you said, it's not the flashiest thing because she's not out here dropping 30, 40 points a night, and that's what people notice, but the fact that she's able to triple double queen and consistently comes out and impacts her team in that way, I mean, we should be talking about her more in the MVP conversation.
Yeah. No question about that. And, I concur. I just think that, she just stays so steady. And to hear her comments after not being named an all-star starter, she's like, I'm used to it. People are just keeping me like under the radar every time. So I don't know how much of that fuels her or if she's just consistently trying to prove herself to herself and that's good enough. Usually that's good enough for everybody,
Yeah.
right? But then there is part of you as a competitor to want to have that level of respect from everyone. Not that that would drive you, and not that you need that validation to do what you do and do it well. But sometimes, a tap on the back is good. Sometimes, right? But most times, it is you want to be better than you were on the previous day. 1% better is what I used to say as a coach. Like, be 1% better, and for yourself, not for everyone else. So
Yeah.
it's not for the validation, but it is nice to hear, hey, you're doing a great job. Like, that's not what motivates you to do the great job that you're doing.
No, exactly, and I mean, yeah, that all-star starter snub is still just I mean, it takes me back, it's, like, in the same vein as the Asia Wilson 4th place MVP vote, like, yeah, so,
And that
like
be clear, I'm a voter, but I
yeah,
just
you're like, "Just it's not me."
make sure we know that that was not my situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there is something to be said for that. And then even I think it was around that same time where Chelsea Gray wasn't voted an All Star, and that second half of the season, she was stomping a mud hole in everybody. I said, "Ugh, Lord."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and so sometimes it does. Like, if you're competitive and you feel slighted, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes that can light a match to that inner fire that's already in there with embers popping. Don't worry about it. But when you add fuel to that, sometimes that can become quite an issue for everyone else
Yeah, exactly.
moving around. But very interesting. Another team that, speaking of like, these underdogs and not talking enough about, the LA Sparks right now.
5-game winning streak.
Really good basketball. How many games you said?
5-game winning streak, I believe.
Yeah, no, I think that's correct. But
Yeah.
wow, what have you seen in that 5-game stretch of winning in LA? What have you seen from the team in that stretch?
I mean, it's exactly what we were just talking about. Dearica Hamby and Azare Stevens didn't get all-star nominations, and that's going to fuel a fire under you that it's hard to describe. It's that competitive energy that every one of these players in the league has that, a lot of people who played sports or just competitive people in general have. And so I think they were kind of sick of being called like the underdogs or people forgetting about them. They were kind of lingering in that like lottery slash like maybe could make a run section of the standings. And I think the All Star, snubs were just the tipping point.
Right.
And I mean, if you know Dearica Hamby as a player, you know that stuff like that is just she's had a fantastic few seasons, and now 5-game winning streak. And I mean Kelsey Plum is already having a fantastic season. You think about the development of Rakia Jackson as well, like it just makes sense that she's continuing to be able to step up in these moments. And then you have the excitement kind of brewing of Cameron Brink coming back. And I'm sure that's motivating the team as well. You want to be good for your player that is going to come back and kind of restart where she left off a year and a bit ago. And so I feel like all those things kind of combined might be motivating them to be able to step up in these close moments. And at the beginning of the season, it wasn't that the Sparks were playing bad in my eyes, but they weren't able to close games that were close. And
Right.
so being able to come into these clutch situations and now come out on the winning side has just been the difference. And I don't think they've ever been like quote unquote bad, but these late game situations where you're in close proximity to the other team and then you just, give up a play or two or a foul happens or a turnover and you're not able to get the win. I mean, those stack up unfortunately. So to be on the other side of that now is great for them. And I mean, I'm glad it's coming at a time where we're now expecting Cameron Brink to join the lineup at any point.
Yeah, no question. In LA, they were recently in DC. I spoke with Cameron Brink, and she's chomping at the bit, man, to get out and play. And during warm-ups, ahead of the game, she was going through a full lather of a workout.
Yeah.
Really looked good. And I told her, I was like, you know what? I thought you were going to play. And I knew she wasn't because the PR list and all the things.
Yeah.
But the way she was moving around, I told her, I was like, I thought you were going to go out there and 10, 15 minutes.
Yep.
Because of the way that she was just so fluid with her movements, strong, solid, and she was just like, "I'm getting close." So, I mean, that's been the last couple of weeks. She's just getting revved up, getting a lot of good workouts with the team like that on game days and in practices. I'm sure back in LA, but boy, when she gets activated and added to this group, the way that they've been playing through this 5-game win streak, that to me is also intriguing. And to see how she is going to just kind of dive in head first and see what that looks like for her. And I know they're going to probably integrate her with minutes restrictions and all of that. But I'm just thinking, like, right next to Dearica Hamby again. I mean, she was crushed when Cam went out with the
Yeah.
injury because she kind of had taken her under her wing as a veteran leader and same kind of positioning down in the paint. So I think it's going to be really fun to watch what they can do. And if the addition of Cam Brink and the rim protection, I mean, she was in the top 5 in blocks, before she was injured with the ACL. But I think, that could be the puzzle piece that can propel them to rise in the ranks in the WNBA.
Yeah, I mean that's what they need. They have, Kelsey Plum leading them in the backcourt. They have Dearica Hamby, and I mean, but it's such you think about all these teams that are up at the top. New York has Jonquil Jones, Vegas has Asia Wilson, Minnesota has Nafisa Collier. Like, you need size to be able to compete in this league, and having Cam Brink be one of the best in that position is just going to help them. And I mean, when you look at the standings too, there's only 3 games between 6th and 10th in the standings. And so LA is right there. They're on the cusp. They're on the bubble. They're, so close to being able to get a playoff spot. And if you have, now's the time to start peaking. You can't peak in June. You have to peak in September. So it could be an exciting playoff run for them if they're able to the math works out for them.
Yeah, no question. I mean, somebody's got to do it. Kendra Lamar said that. Somebody's got to
Mhm.
do it. I mean, there's an opportunity there. And like you said, I think they do need that extra defensive firepower in there. And Cam can score. So I'm not begrudging her
Yeah.
prowess. But the way that she can clog the paint, at her size and ability, I think it's going to be really intriguing to see what that looks like. Plus, they just added Latricia Trammell on.
Yes.
She is a defensive savant. I mean, she's a fantastic person. I love seeing her back when she came through in DC with the Sparks. But I think adding that to Cam Brink's return is a combustible, in a great way, situation for them for sure.
Yeah,
What
I mean,
added?
yeah, I think it's such a big deal that, LT's back in the league. I think that she deserves, to be in this league. Going back to LA is such a great idea for her as well. And there's a part of me that, is sad that we didn't get to see kind of like the Paige Beckers, Latricia Trammell kind of vibe. But if she's going to be anywhere, being back in LA is so exciting. They have such a young, kind of group of players coming up when you think about Cam Brink, Rakia, and all of the draft picks they picked up this year as well. And so, but then you also mix that with the veteran presence of Kelsey Plum, who has just been just so good this season. Dearica Hamby's had a great few seasons since she's come to the Sparks. And so, yeah, I think it's just like you have a good like person like that in the organization who has so much experience on every level, who knows how to coach certain players. Like you said, defensive minded, basketball mind as well. And so when you mix that all together, I think that the Sparks are like it's funny because like right where they are on the standings, they're literally just on the cusp of doing something really great. And I feel like off the court as well, when you think about the dynamics, it's the same way too. So I'm excited to see the long-term effects of it, and I'm excited to see how it affects the playoffs. And I mean, especially when Cam Brink comes back, I'm just excited to see Cam Brink back. I think
I think we all are. I'm super excited for her. It's been quite a journey, and having my daughter go through the same injury, and she's back and ready to go. And she gave some advice to my daughter, and I appreciate that too, to give herself grace. And I thought that was appropriate. So I'm definitely excited for her on that. But let's just talk about the top of the mountain right now. Let's kind of just go up there and talk about
Yeah.
Minnesota Lynx. I mean, you kind of alluded to that, just having that size and ability, and Nafisa Collier kind of leading all the conversations about the MVP. Uh,
Mhm.
he earned that in the All Star game, just went bananas in that. But definitely the front runner in that regard. But you're looking at a team in Atlanta who they have now split with. They beat Atlanta in an overtime game earlier this season, but most recently, Atlanta got the best of them. What did you see from Minnesota, especially in that matchup against Atlanta? Like sometimes it is all about matchups, but no Ryan Howard for Atlanta, and they were still able to get that win.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have, I mean, Minnesota is going through a little bit of, they lost Carly Samuelson, so they lost a bit of their depth, and a lot of their players were in the All Star. A lot of, I mean, their entire coaching staff went to All Star, so fatigue is going to come in, and so I wouldn't be surprised if, I mean, they haven't lost that much this season, but a few more losses continue to trickle in. But when you think about that game against Atlanta, I mean, Nafisa Collier had 32 points, but nobody else was able to score more than 12. And so that's a huge thing. I mean, Bridget Carlton unfortunately didn't score any. Kayla McBride. And so those are two of your biggest offensive, especially when you think about 3-point shooting. Kayla McBride and Bridget Carlton are huge in that respect. And so the fact that neither of them were able to get going, the fact that Courtney Williams only scored 11, Alana Smith in the post only scored 12, I think it was just like Atlanta's defense, and obviously, I mean, Brittany Griner is a huge part of that. Brianna Jones is so big when it comes to interior defense.
Yeah.
It makes sense that if that was going to happen against any team, it happens against Atlanta. And then, I mean, you also have Alicia Gray out there who is fantastic for Atlanta. And so they just have so many little pieces. And I think, especially when you think about the perimeter, it
Right.
also makes sense that they struggled on the perimeter, knowing that Carl Smesko has such a perimeter minded system. And so it's going to affect both offense and defense. And that's, I think, what just happened. Of course, Fee was still amazing, but it no one else was really able to get going. And when you have your biggest 3-point shooters not making shots, I mean, it's going to get hard to get going offensively. But they only lost by 4 points. When you look at the box score and then you look at the point that they only lost by 4,
Right.
it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
True, right, in terms of the shot percentage and what you were just alluding to. But I'm really intrigued with them, with the Minnesota Lynx and their ability to sustain, like you said, the high percentage shooting and the balance scoring. I think bench play is going to come up huge for them in the second half of the season. But Nafisa Collier, I mean, let's just put a pin right there and discuss what it has meant for not only her, but what it has meant for the team for her to be able to perform that well and have the best defensive schemes coming at her from across the league and still managing to produce the way that she has.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, when you think about a whole team effort, I think she just leads this team so well, whether it's on the court, off the court, on the bench, in the locker room. I think she's just a consummate leader when you think about someone who leads by example, someone who is supportive when it comes to her teammates, no matter where they are on the team. You think about chemistry, I think this team has incredible chemistry between all of them. It's not just the starting lineup, it's the entire team. I mean, they're being coached by one of the best coaches to ever coach ever, period. So that helps as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but with Nafisa herself, I think it's one of those things where we were talking before about being competitive with yourself. And I think when she had her daughter and she was coming back and people were like, oh, like, she was she was on this great trajectory and then she had a kid and then she just proved everybody wrong and got even better than she was before. And it's like, yeah, you want to silence your haters. You want to perform well because now, I mean, I don't have any kids, but from what people say, you have so much more reason to want to set a good example for your teammates, for yourself, and just leave a legacy. And I think all of that motivation and all of that, people were saying Minnesota was washed now. The Maya Moore era was over. Sylvia Fowles retired, and Fee was like, no. This is my era now. So, just the next evolution of this team. And I think that comes from I think Cheryl Reeve has just given her the opportunity to lead this team and has really believed in her. And I think the thing about Cheryl Reeve as a coach is like, it's like the balance of like, you don't want to get on her bad side because she kind of scares you in a great way. But then also when she does give that belief in you, you're like, oh my God, like Cheryl believes in me? Like, let's go. I'm the best player that's ever lived. So,
Yeah.
I think there's so many factors to that, but the ascension of Nafisa Collier, I think, is just, hard work, opportunity, talent, just like pure talent, and the ability to lead. I think she's just such a good leader, and everything that this franchise has done in order to put her in that position
Right.
has worked out because they chose a good person to lead their franchise. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Question. I mean, just going back to what you were saying about, her having the daughter and all of that. I mean, I have 3 kids, and I understand that exact dynamic of how that is perceived on the outside to others, and how that can be perceived as a weakness because now your time is divided, and now you don't have the same amount of focus as you would, but that couldn't be more incorrect. So
Yes.
precisely on point, my friend, when you said that creates even more force for your focus to be a mom or to be a parent, but specifically for moms, especially in the WNBA. And physically, I have seen it personally with De'Erica Hamby, who we were just discussing. She had both of her babies, one holding the hand and one snuggled into her neck. Her little son was snuggled into her neck, uniform on after the game. And I just thought that was the most fierce picture in my mind to see that. The fact that she just had an emphatic block at the end of the game here in DC. And then now she's this gentle nurturer of children in like a flip of a page. So for me, it's always going to be about motherhood and how empowering that is for women. And it's not something that lessens your value with you. It is something that absolutely increases your value because that is your complete why, to be that blueprint for your kids, period. And you're going to be there for them in that way. And you're going to be present, not presence, but present with a T for your kids. And I saw it. Skylar Diggins was here in DC. Her kids were running around. She was running laps with her daughter after the game on the court, like, and she was just in this fierce competitive moment. And that's what we do. That's what we do. So to see that and to see Nafisa with her baby, on the announcement of the All-Stars, like my mama, it's just the cutest things happen, but it's also something that we need to release from the societal paint that they try to make for moms. And as it has been stated several times by me, it is not a less than quantifying situation to be a mom. It is an empowering, moving, focal increase for women to have an extra incentive and to have that why. And let me, I keep saying my dad was a pastor, rest in peace, daddy, but sometimes things just take me to places because there's been, situations where, anyway.
I think it's just like to get to your point. I think it's just like adds to the complexity of these women's athletes and just makes it so much more powerful when they succeed on the court because that they had to work so much harder. When you add all of the societal garbage that people throw, especially when you add motherhood into the mix and what it does to women's bodies. And the fact that they're still able to persevere and reach these heights as athletes, I mean, it's such an amazing thing to see. And so, I mean, as when you watch it, as someone who's watching from the outside personally, it
Right.
just makes you love and like want to cheer for them so more, makes it so much more enjoyable when you watch them win. But, you know, as you know, from your perspective too, like it just gives them another why. And so, yeah, I think that's like such a great, and I love that we're in this era now of sports where, like you said, motherhood is just another thing that motivates people. And I mean, it's not the only thing that can motivate you, but if that's your why, then I mean, celebrate it. And I'm so glad we're in an era where we're celebrating it now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Candace Parker was in DC recently at the game with the Mystics and the Phoenix Mercury. And after the game, the first thing she said on her phone, she's like, "Look at my boys." Like her daughter's going to be a junior in high school, and the time.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm telling you, the days are
Oh
long,
man.
years are swift.
Yeah.
I
But
told her.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, I've seen her cute little son shooting. That kid's gonna be drafted. I watch her Instagram stories. I'm like, that kid can shoot. Like he's like 2. I'm like, geez. That
Absolutely.
yeah,
But there's just so much adrenaline for women, and for Candace Parker to be Rookie of the Year and MVP in one year. I mean, there's just so many things that I can say on motherhood. I don't know,
yeah,
and just to see how it has catapulted so many women now, whereas before it was something that kept women in their place,
yeah,
which it makes me celebrate it even more so because I was in
exactly.
the era when it wasn't quite as accepted in the professional realm. So that's where we're going to leave that. But that's another podcast for another day because, boy, as you see, I have taken on an entire soliloquy on it. But we'll move forward here. With that being said, about Minnesota, about Nafisa Collier, what other team intrigues you as maybe a dark horse in the second half of the year? I know we kind of
Ooh.
alluded to, LA, but are there any other teams that for you could possibly make a run?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few I think about. I mean, Dallas could possibly turn it on and be able to win a few more games. They definitely look better than they did in the first half of the season. And I mean, Paige Beckers is still at a point where she has yet to score less than 10 points in a game that she has played for. So, I mean, just fantastic from her. Would love to see them be able to get a few more wins and build that confidence as a team. I mean, I think we're all just kind of sitting waiting for Las Vegas to make their run because they just feel inevitable, and maybe that's just me thinking about the past few years, but to me Las Vegas just seems inevitable.
Okay. I agree with that, man. What do you think is, I mean, I know I said this a couple of weeks ago on here, but just the defensive pieces that they lost, right? With Alicia Clark, with Plum, right? And with Tiffany Hayes,
Yeah.
those veterans, they just knew where to be defensively. Do you think there's an agreement to that point, or do you feel that there's something else that has been missing from what Vegas has been able to do? A little bit inconsistent this season, and Becky Hammond has said it herself.
Yeah.
This isn't something where I'm like, I'm not coming down on them. I love Becky Hammond. I love the team, but she has even said like we've got to be at a point where there's no drop off in our effort and focus, and I think that has been what has been the issue with them, like not having the consistency of both of those two aspects of the game.
Yeah, I think we've seen their defense take a little bit of a hit, and you're right, it's coming from losing those players that they did, and then when you think about what they got in return, not exactly leveling up when it comes to defense, and then unfortunately for them, the offense just on paper it looks like it could be so much better, but unfortunately Jewel Lloyd hasn't had the season that we know that she's capable of, and there's been injuries. I mean, Megan Gustafson went out with an injury pretty early on, and so yeah, I think I don't even know if I can put my finger exactly on what's missing. I think you just can see that something's missing. And I'm not sure if that's something in the locker room. I'm not sure if that's something when it comes to, someone is hurt or, they're not feeling the best. Because sometimes you get to the point at the end of the season where you realize, oh, okay, a player was hurt and they were just pushing through it, or they were just, trying to make it to the end of the season. I mean, nothing's happened with Asia Wilson, obviously, because she's playing fantastic, just like she did last season. But I don't know. I think it's maybe the both the team chemistry and the on court product. I think has taken a hit from what they lost. And to reference our co-host Jamie, who is a huge advocate for like assistant coaches, obviously because her mom is a great assistant coach. They lost two big assistant coaches in the off season, with Natalie Nakase going to coach for Golden State and Tyler Marsh going to coach for the Chicago Sky. And so I think that has had much more of an impact on their scheming, on their game planning, on their team cohesion as a whole than you think, because as viewers we don't really notice assistant coaches as much because they're doing so much behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I think that has been a hit that nobody has really noticed as much, because those two names weren't like on the public facing, aspect of basketball teams, when you think about who fans are seeing and like attributing things to.
Interesting take. Interesting take. But I hadn't thought of that. But that is a definite something to look forward to. I mean, in moving forward with the Las Vegas Aces, is that level of continuity, right? And there is a lot to be said for that. I mean, I coached for a long time, both as an assistant and a head coach, so I know what that could feel like, and I never thought of it that way. So Chelsea, yes, that's a really good point to make with that. But let's just stick with Vegas for a moment and the season that Asia Wilson is having. And I have to do it every time I say her name. I can't get that song out of my head. So Asia Wilson's on top. I had to do it. Okay, she knows it because when I saw her, I did it with her, and we had a moment. But
Yeah.
I just think like the way that she has been able to produce, I mean, on a consistent basis again, right? And you just said, like last year, like the year before that, like the year before that,
Yeah.
obviously with the championships, the MVPs. What is it about Asia Wilson that makes her so special?
Oh man, it's a mix of a few things. I mean, some people they just have God-given talent. And I think Asia Wilson is one of those people who is just so talented at what she does, but at
Yeah.
the same time, she's just she's a competitor when it comes to wanting to make herself better every day. I think she just likes to, it's funny. Like I feel like the word "win" is thrown a lot around when it comes to talking about athletes and everybody's just like, I just want to win, I just want to win, I just want to win, and it gets diluted a little bit. But I think with Asia Wilson, she is that person who again just wants to like break those barriers. She's such a good role model to people, and at the end of the day, it just comes from her desire to play this game that she loves and be good at it. And that's what she is. She's just good at it. And I think in the same vein as Nafisa, she's a great leader when it comes to on and off court. We've begun to see as she's gotten older how she started to give back to the players that are younger than her. You see that in a lot of her on court and off court interactions. You see her kind of come into her own as a veteran now. I mean, her and I are the same age, so like I can understand like, okay, now she's getting to the age where there is a little bit more of a gap between her and the rookies, and so you kind of take on that role a little bit more as a mentor,
Yeah.
quote unquote. And so yeah, I mean, she's at the point now where whatever team she's on, it's her team. And so I think she's just really stepped into her own of being that on and off court leader, of being someone who can put the team on her back, who wants to be the face of the team, the face of the franchise. And she's just good. I think she just has like the talent, the personality, and the desire to do that. And I think it's just, I mean, it's like someone, I think you just think about, she was just born for it. It's hard to explain. The talent and the personality that she has is just so perfect for what she's doing.
No, I agree. And even here in DC with Kiki Iriafen, I mean, I
Mhm.
think that in the game, she's giving her some pointers. And at first she was like, wait, is she trying to set me up or is that actually, you know, some actual advice? And I think she said Brittany Griner as well, you know, that I think this league doesn't get enough credit for the
Mhm.
sisterhood of it all. And I think
Yes.
over the All-Star break, I think we heard more of the sisterhood and we saw the hugs and the love on the skills night, you know, and all the excitement in a competitive atmosphere, but there's always love at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Even if there's a squabble or whatever during a game, it always gets rectified with communication and respect. And I think the sisterhood aspect of women in sports, not just the WNBA, but specifically, I know we're talking about the W, but I've seen it grow
Yeah.
in terms of being discussed. I think it's always been there, but I
Mhm.
think the sisterhood is such an invaluable piece of the success of the league right now. And I think it needs to be discussed more. But I also think that we need to have the respect for what that really means and what that really is. And yes, it's going to be physical. Every sport is physical. Okay. But at the end of the day, they all know what this journey has been, respectively, for each one of them, right? And
Mhm.
every ladder rung that they have climbed, they're reaching back and grabbing the others to get up there too. So I think that is really what it's all about. That's the focus point of the league and why it's here, and that's the why of the W. But I think it needs to be discussed more. The respect of that is really the underbelly of why it's such a beautiful sport to watch and why the league is such a beautifully inclusive league. We saw that with the stud buds at the
Yeah.
and not they just kind of open the blinds to what
Yeah.
is right and the
Mhm.
love. And even though Cheryl Reeves said that her portion of the dancing that she was doing on the stud buds live stream was AI, I thought that was hilarious, by the way.
That was so funny.
It was so funny, but I just thought that it was, you know, it was kind of what it is, and that's what you miss from being on the team is what they were showing. All the
Yes,
fun,
exactly.
all the giggles, the teasing, and the love at the end of the day. But I just thought it was really beautiful because that's what I miss most. I don't miss, you know, whatever play call or whatever defense we were running. I miss my girls, man. I miss my sisterhood of being on the team, and even as a coach, I miss my girls. Right? I miss that camaraderie piece, like that fun that you have, being a part of something together.
Yeah.
And I know there are different teams that are together in their respective ways, but the league as a whole is together in a very beautiful way that needs to be discussed more.
Yeah, and I think the people who maybe sometimes don't understand or criticize, I think it's those people who may not understand that bond. Because I agree 100% with you. It's like you see the bond of their sisterhood, but then, like, it's like women in media also have a bond, and, like, you have a bond with the women that, like, you play sports with, even recreationally, or just like the sisterhood of just like existing on earth, like, with other women and other people and people who can kind of find each other and have similar experiences. I think it just it just shows that, like, community is so important. And with all everything that's happening in the world, I think it's so important to cling on to community. And so when people aren't understanding the WNBA, I think it's just like you need to, like, take a step further than basketball and just think about, like, community and, like, being a human. And and that's the part of it that we love so much, and that's why people want to invest, and that's why people want to engage in the league. It's because it's more than just basketball. It's community, it's love, it's sisterhood, it's just enjoying. It's always so much more than the sport.
Yeah, there are levels to it. And
Yep.
mother got these moms out there hooping.
Yep.
Let's go, mommies. It's the mom squad. I'm here for it all. I'm here for it all. And I love it. And you said that very profoundly well. And I appreciate that because it needs to be discussed more. And we need to talk more about that, you know, in the communities and letting people know exactly what the WNBA encompasses, which is everything, all the things. We need to talk about all of it. Is there anything else you want to discuss? I know, you know, we've pretty much covered every team in the league, just about, I think. But is there any other team that you want to discuss or any other topics before we uh,
Oh man.
out here?
I mean, I just can't wait to the expansion draft. Give me an expansion draft. I want to see these people start having players. Give me my tempo.
Right? Oh, I love that. And you know, what's the update? I mean, you're right there in Toronto.
Yeah.
So what's going on up there with the expansion and all the noise in the community about the new team coming along?
Oh man, it's fun. I mean, I think right now we're gearing up. We're about to travel to Vancouver to play the Seattle versus Atlanta game in a few weeks. And so I'll be there. The team, the Tempo is going to have a presence there. I don't know exactly in what regard, but they will have a presence there. And so I'm excited to see like what activations they come up, and just like it's just been a celebration so far. I think, of course, there's going to be like pains when it comes to, every expansion team is going to have issues when it comes to signing people and competing in the first season. And maybe it's not going to be a championship right out of the gate, and that's okay. But right now, we're still in the phase of just celebrating everything. And every time any news comes out about this team, it's just so fun to celebrate the progress and celebrate the love of the sport and the community in this country. And I think what I'm most excited for is like people like you, or people, who haven't been to Toronto and haven't seen the intense and such like passionate community that we have here, and how wonderful it is to just like celebrate basketball in the city. I'm excited for people to come and experience that in Canada. And I mean our girl Megan could tell you all about it, because I'm sure she does. So yeah. And so I think that's the part that I'm most excited for right now, because we're getting to the point where we have team, we have colors, we have whatever, and I'm like, I just want people to start coming. I want players to start realizing this is where they're going to live. I want to get a coach. I want to start like moving in that regard.
Yeah, no, I feel you absolutely. And when is that game in Vancouver? You said a couple of weeks. When specifically is that? So we can get.
August 15th, Friday, August 15th. It's Seattle versus Atlanta, and it's the first international WNBA game ever. Like
Oh,
regular season.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
regular.
regular season.
I love that so much. Oh wow! And Vancouver, how far away is that? I mean, geographically speaking.
It's far. It's far. Yeah, Toronto is like I would like above like New York, like Buffalo, etc. And then Vancouver's literally like next to Seattle. Like they're just above each other. Yeah. So it's like a cross country thing.
Yeah, all the way across. Yeah, just for people who didn't. I mean, I
Yeah.
just want to refresh everyone else about that.
Yeah.
But no, I love that. I love that so much, and I think we've seen that as we said at the beginning, like with the international flavor of Toronto being inserted into the league. I think it's going to be so much fun, but also the preseason games that have already been played there. And how they had, what did they have out front? They had the statue out front that everyone was signing.
The signing, yeah, in Toronto, that was really fun. And it
Yeah.
moved a few places. It was in front of the CN Tower, and then they brought it to the arena, and yeah.
Do they still, are they going to keep that like as a thing? Or what do
I
they?
don't know where it is right now.
Oh,
It's not currently there. I would love if they brought it to the arena that the Tempo are gonna play in. Like I think that would be fun. I'm sure, I mean, it's somewhere. It has to be somewhere. So that'd be fun if they brought it out and like had it as a decoration at their arena.
I agree. Man, stop gatekeeping the statue and put some
Yeah. Where's our statue? I signed it.
period. No, I love that. Oh my goodness. Well, Chelsea, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just at Chelsea Late on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, all the things, and on her hoop stats a couple times a week. So come back,
I love
people.
I love it. Oh my gosh, this has been such an intriguing conversation. I appreciate your time today. Your personality is so great. It just bubbles and it just has so much energy behind it. So I appreciate you joining us today on the Her Hoop Stats podcast.